I guess before we really dive into that type of stuff, let's first address like tokenization in general. Like a lot of us Dipatoers, they don't even know what that really means when you say everything's gonna be tokenized in the future, tokenized assets. Um, how would you describe tokenized assets? What's your thought on that, Lady K?
So there's representation of ownership, and I think everything can go on the blockchain in that way. I think NFTs are a really good way to do that because, like, what is an NFT? It shows who owns it, right? And then there's tokenizing, which is the fractional ownership, which is also separate, right? And then I think a lot of people forget that just because the representation of ownership is put on the blockchain does not necessarily mean that it's the proper way. Either you have to do it traditionally and put it on the blockchain, or we need some law changes to account for blockchain representing ownership. And then fractional ownership, and there's rights there. So that also has to be done correctly in order to be enforced. So that's my thought on tokenizing assets.
Well, and bringing that up and needing the guidelines around it and what it means, because you're right, you can transfer, say, if an NFT is representing this pack of gum, right? You give me the token that in exchanges goes to me. How do I get my pack of gum? From you and that sort of thing. And I think that that's where some people have a hard time wrapping their mind around all of this stuff. But when I think about the blockchain and the triple ledger accounting, you really look at it like, there are mechanisms in place that will really assist with the accounting for things, right? The recording of things and the possibility of decentralization, as opposed to the centralized way of housing these records, because everything is on the blockchain, but it's a matter of like you say, how does that actually come into play with somebody having the physical asset at the end of the day?
Yeah.
What's going to govern that?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways that can happen, but also the automation of things and the immutable record of there's so many things about this technology that I think putting ownership representation on chain would be so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's so many things.
I
What
would
do you?
100% agree
Sorry.
with that. I'm sorry, Lady K. I 100% agree with that, but we can come back to me later because I'll touch on that for sure.
Well, if you want to piggyback unless Stone
No.
wants to interject.
Stone got to say too.
What are your thoughts, Stone?
Let me unmute. I think that it's going to streamline a lot of things. Like I was trying to explain it to, I think it was my middle child, my oldest daughter. We were going to get a driver's license, and in the process of renewing documentation, you have to send certain documents in, and you have to prove who you are, and you have to have a light bill, you have to have your birth certificate, you have to have all these different things. And I explained how, like, you won't even have to leave your house. You won't have to do anything because it'll all be on the blockchain and won't be copied. So you'll be able to just log into something with your wallet that it doesn't, none of the other things matter. It's you because it's on the blockchain. You can't copy it. And then we started talking about counterfeit things and how easy it is to counterfeit money and how easy it is to break into bank accounts and move different things around. And it's every conversation every debate that we would have. I just found myself being able to answer it with the blockchain solves it. And that's what drove me to the blockchain, right? I like answers, and I like solutions, and I like that people like you and I can like Lady K 4 years ago, you know, she's talked about her journey before, having been in a room and not understand some of the lingo, to now is providing infrastructure for the ledger. Like, we can do it ourselves.